Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, PDP and its presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar tender election results from Niger and Yobe states as tribunal formally begins hearing of the petition against President Muhammadu Buhari's election. Court dismisses Mayeta Al-Lakatal Hore's suit challenging the open grazing prohibition and establishment law passed by the Benue state government in 2017. 2 people killed in pipeline explosion in the Ijegun area of Lagos after suspected vandals allegedly ignited fire in the area in a bid to escape arrest by security agents. And UN says guards fired on migrants as they tried to flee Tuesday's airstrike on a detention center near Libya's capital Tripoli.
On Business News tonight, Chairman of newly inaugurated Securities and Exchange Commission, Olufemi Lijadu, advocates more orderly securities market to attract investors as Regulators Board holds its first meeting.
And on sports news tonight, Kanu Pillars, Niger Tornadoes qualify for the final of the 2019 ITO NFF Federation Cup.
And from Abuja, police grilled Senator representing Adama North, Elisha Abu, accused of assaulting a nursing mother in a shop in Abuja.
The People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar today tendered election results from polling units, wards and local governments in Niger and Yobe states to formally kickstart hearing of the substantive petition against President Muhammadu Buhari's election. But the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, President Muhammadu Buhari and the All Progressives Congress opposed the tendering of the results. The tribunal chairman, Justice Muhammad Lawal Garba, who admitted the results as exhibits, however, overruled the objection of the defendants, asking them to defer the objection to the point of address to the tribunal, as earlier agreed by parties during the pre-hearing session. Our correspondent Amaka Okafo reports.
It's the first day in the hearing of the main petition filed by the People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate challenging the election of President Muhammadu Buhari. Present in court are the vice presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, and other leaders of the party, including Chief Tommy Kinney. An unusual face in the sitting of the tribunal is constitutional lawyer Professor Benue, who appeared for the petitioners and later handed over to Mr. Livy Uzoku to lead the team. But an attempt by Mr. Uzoku to tender election materials from different states of the Federation before the tribunal was resisted by the respondents in the suit. All the respondents, including President Muhammadu Buhari, the Independent National Electoral Commission and the All Progressive Congress, said the tendering of the documents was not in line with the agreements of the parties to first meet and go through all the documentary evidence to know those they would oppose. The respondents described the action of the petitioners as an ambush. In his response, counsel to the petitioners, Mr. Livy Uzoku, pointed out that paragraph 7 of the agreement by the parties in the petition, which was endorsed by the court, was to the effect that parties will tender documents from the bar and they are at liberty to object to any document at the point they are tendered and then will defer their address on the objection to their final address in the petition. The tribunal, in a unanimous ruling, agreed with the petitioners and ordered them to open their case. The petitioners had brought before the tribunal boxes of electoral materials which include states like Niger, Yobe, Kebbi and Jigawa, but they were only able to tender Form EC8A, EC8B and EC8C, which are results from the polling units, wards and state results in the presidential election from Niger and Yobe states. Meanwhile, Professor Benue has asked the tribunal to ensure that justice is done in the hearing of the petition.
We all suspect that the election was rigged. Suspicion is not enough. The matter is now before this tribunal. This tribunal must get to the roots of the matter and tell us the truth.
Further hearing was adjourned to the 5th of July 2019. Amaka Okafo, Channel
In the meantime, a federal high court in Abuja today dismissed the suit filed by Mayete Allah Katuhore, challenging the 2017 open grazing prohibition and establishment law passed by the Benue State House of Assembly. The court, presided over by Justice Okonabang, also awarded a cost of 100,000 naira against the plaintiffs to be paid to all the 14 defendants before any other step can be taken in the suit. Mayete Allah Katuhore had approached the court with a prayer seeking a mandatory injunction restraining the Benue State government from implementing the laws passed by the State House of Assembly. Justice Abang predicated his decision on the failure of the plaintiff to comply with an earlier order of the court delivered 19 months ago, directing them to file an amended originating summons.
It's a triumph for the people and government of Benue State. The government and people of Benue State made a people's law to ban open grazing in Benue State. The Metiala Kautahora came to challenge that law, and today the court passed this judgment in our favor and dismissed that suit in its entirety. It is a triumph of the rule of law, and we are so happy that the prevalent killings in Benue State that are already being contained by this law, the momentum will be maintained. And also, there will be no Ruga in our Benue State because that law still stands.
Well, that's not all. The Benue State government seems to be happy with the court ruling which nullified the suit filed by Mayete Allah Katuhore seeking to stop the enforcement of the anti-open grazing law in Benue. The state governor, Samuel Otum, describes the judgment as victory for justice, democracy and the rule of law. He commends the country's judiciary for proving once again that it is indeed the last hope of the common people. Governor Otum's position is contained in a statement from his chief press secretary, where he says that the judgment affirms the fact that the law was duly enacted and it is in the interest of all Nigerians who wish to go into livestock business in the state. He asked Mayete Allah groups and other livestock owners to embrace ranching, which is the global best practice in animal husbandry, according to him. Staying with legal matters, the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, is challenging the continued stay in office of some of President Muhammadu Buhari's aides. The national spokesman of the coalition, Mr. Imo Ugochinyere, explains that the officers face prosecution for occupying such seats without a formal appointment by the president. Among those named in the suit are the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Additional, and the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the President, Mr. Garba Shehu. Mr. Ugochinyere is asking the court to declare their continued occupation of the seats as illegal. He was speaking at a news conference in the nation's capital today in Abuja. Let's have a couple more stories now. A federal high court in the nation's capital, Abuja, today granted an application to list former Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, as a prosecution witness in an ongoing trial over alleged misappropriation of 2.5 billion naira federal government's digital switchover program. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, is prosecuting the Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, the NBC, Mr. Ishaq Kau, for alleged abuse of office and money laundering. The Commission had filed a 12-count charge against Mr. Kau, the Chairman and Chief Operating Officer of the Pinnacle Communications Limited, Lucky Omolua and Dipo Onifade, respectively. At the resumed trial today, Mr. Alex Izion, who the counsel to Mr. Omolua and Onifade, who had filed a motion prohibiting the prosecution from listing the former Information Minister and the Bureau de Change operator Shoaib Sabo as additional witnesses, withdrew the motion. The court also ordered a temporary release of the international passport of Lucky Omolua and Dipo Onifade to travel outside the country within the month of July, August and September. In the meantime, the case has been adjourned till October the 2nd for continuation of hearing. Lagos residents woke up to the news of a raging fire incident at the Jegun area of the state today from a vandalized pipeline in the area. The fire, which started as early as 5 a.m., was successfully put out after about 12 hours battle to contain it. 2 persons lost their lives in the incident, with several cars and property destroyed. Our correspondent, Olu Phillips, reports.
Everywhere you look, you see evidences of the damaging strength of the inferno. It's right there staring you in the eye. For several hours, these firemen battle to put off the fire, but like the seesaw game, the fire keeps fighting back. It's one incident that has kept onlookers on their toes as they feed their eyes with activities around here. Many of them have surged around the fireplace to either catch a glimpse, mill around, converse, or just simply stand idle. On their faces, noticeably, isn't any sign of pain or expression of any loss. Perhaps the entire episode didn't take them by surprise.
Soldiers and police, that all of them should remain, and they should not make any noise, remain inside their buses, and they are patrolling.
It should be a bit of a cheering news that the incident is in the surface area and not in the jungle, where it might be difficult to contain. But considering again the brazen display put up by the vandals to carry out such rape on a national asset, should raise a critical talking point. For instance, the place of the Oba of this area lies within a 50-meter stretch, less than 3 minutes walk. Further down the road is the Sherry police station. There are also several houses sandwiching the vandal place. Shouldn't all this be a source of information to deter such activity?
For them to have brought 4 trucks here, it's a serious case. What we are having spilling out is still the content spilling out now, and that's why we're having problems. By the time we are done with the content from the tanker, we will have only a very small contained source of fire, only from the pipeline.
Of course, casualties were recorded, some far away from the point of the incident. This happened because the spilled content traveled through the drains, causing 2 deaths, raised 3 cars. It just simply burnt everything on its path.
We are returning this place to its normal activities. We are going to recover about 31 vehicles in here.
All is calm now. Fire is out. That's the point of entry into the trucks. Vandals are at large. The destruction is massive, but so also should be the level of intervention by the relevant agencies of government in finding, prosecuting, and nipping this in the bud. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
The National Working Committee of the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has summoned House of Representative Minority Leader Ndidi Elumelu and 6 other members of the House for a crucial meeting tomorrow, Friday, July the 5th. The meeting, which is expected to start at 10 a.m., is a fallout of the rowdy session in the House of Representatives on Wednesday, when the Speaker, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, named Honorable Elumelu as the minority leader of the House based on a letter presented by all minority parties in the House. The announcement caused confusion in the Parliament as the PDP, which is the largest minority party in the House, had nominated Kingsley Chinda for the position. Other lawmakers expected at the meeting are Honorable Woleoke, Linda Ikpeazu, Anayo Edwin, Gideon Gwadi, Toby Okechukwu, and Adekoya Abdul-Majid. And in part 2, after the break, more on the House minority leadership tussle, and we have a former federal lawmaker, Westy Dahosa, to examine the issues. Stay with us.